All right, we are exporting to the cloud. And I will end up going to the whiteboard, I guess, at this point. Okay, so for the people who are going to watch this video later, those people, you guys are going to still do rework the normal way, say what you did wrong, who helped you, put the right answer down. You don't have to rewrite the question, though, that's fine. But then you'll take a picture of your reworks and email them to me, and then I will get them and give you full credit. That's kind of how that's going to roll. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go into a whiteboard screen. Here we go. Everybody can see that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. And I think everybody got number 1 right. So I'm not going to go over number 1 unless somebody wants to see it. Anybody want to see number 1? Oh, Will's in. Here we go. Welcome, Will Susan back. Somebody welcome him when he gets in. Did anybody want to see number 2?
I think I got that right.
Is that the multiple choice one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here, we can at least set it up. So number 2.
Oh, I needed number 2. Sorry.
Oh, number 2. Yeah, do that one.
Here we go. Great. Number 1, I'm feeling good about. Here we go. Number 2, the temperature of a cake when it came out of the oven was 425. So that's going to be TO. This is where you have to use this formula, right? You have to use T minus TS equals TO minus TS times e to the negative KT. So you put the 425 in for TO, and then it says after 10 minutes, the temperature is 270. That's where we can put 10 minutes in for this guy and 275 for this temperature, because TS specifically has to be surrounding room temperature, which is 70 degrees. And so then as soon as you do this, you have an equation that solve, and I'm going to grab my work here so you guys can see what I did. I already had my work done, so then I don't have it. So I subtracted 205 here, and then 355 here, e to the negative 10k, and then I divided by 355 ln. I think that's like 0.577 or something like that, e to the negative 10k, and then I ln'd and then divided by negative 10, and I got k equals 0.055. Is that okay with everybody?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go for it, Will. What's up?
Did you send us copies of our completed quizzes back after you graded them? Or did you just give us the typed response?
No, so yeah, basically I just did the typed response. So yeah, you don't have a graded quiz.
Okay,
Like,
so what are we supposed to be doing as far as reworks, like what you said?
yes, so basically anyone that I gave a typed response for you to, just go ahead and rework that one. Obviously, nothing else you missed. And basically you'll just do the problem as it's the correct way, and then you'll just take a picture of the document that you're doing right now, and then you'll send it to me, and that'll count as your reworks.
Okay.
Okay, so just redo the problem entirely on a new sheet of paper and send it to you.
Correct.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And when
sorry,
do you want those back? For sure.
That actually we won't talk about until the end of reworks, because I have an idea for the test, but I don't want to overwhelm anybody, so we'll just talk about what everybody's good with, and if they're good with taking the test this week, then we're gonna have reworks due by the time.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a study session for the test.
That's actually also on the table. My plan is, if you guys want, yes, so we just have to kind of figure that out. It'll be via Zoom.
Yeah.
But just don't tell anyone that we're using Zoom, because I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to be using Zoom, but I have the waiting room, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, anyway, everybody good with that first part of number 2? And then basically for the second part of number 2, so that's not done, right? For the second part of number 2, we want to know what the t is. So we like plug the k back in with a t right here. But we want to know what that time is when it gets to 90 degrees. So you actually keep the 425 the same because it's the original. Keep the 7 the same because that's the surrounding temperature. And then you do 90 minus 70 over here. And you get 20 equals 355 e to the negative 0.055 t. And then you solve this guy out, which I won't go over those steps because I feel like people are pretty good with that. But you get somewhere around 52.3 minutes, which I think there was a little bit of confusion in 2 different ways with this. First of all, if you're going in increments of 5 minutes, does 52.3 round to 50 or to 55?
50.
Yeah, technically it rounds to 50. So this would be the equivalent of 50. And then second of all, it actually says, the quiz says, instead of saying like how long since you take it out of the oven, it actually just says how much longer will it take to cool off. So it's actually assuming that it's already been out for the 10 minutes. So you have to minus the 10 and your final answer is actually 40.
What number? What letter is that? Oh.
Yeah, B. And so actually I had a ton of people who solved that right, but just didn't pick the right letter. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, no.
Sweet. I'm planning on probably going through all of 3, 4, 5, and 6 because different people missed different ones of those. Like some people got like 2 out of the 4, but other people got the other 2 out of the 4. The back will probably be able to speed through a few a little bit more because there's a lot of good work on that. But I think we will do all 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So
Yay.
I'll just launch into number 3, and then we'll go from there. So number 3 is actually, I think, the hard one. It's one of those that you just got to know the trick to it. Guys, I am ashamed of myself. I haven't told you guys this story. I was on a trivia game via Zoom on Saturday night, and there was a round where people got to choose their own questions, and I missed an integral problem. It was so sad. It's what's the integral of ln of x dx? And I just was sitting there staring at it being like, I know we can't go backwards from ln in our heads. And then I only had like 30 seconds and I was very sad. On that one, you use u as ln x and dv is just dx. And I was so ashamed of myself because I didn't get it in time. So if you guys just think you're rusty with school, I feel that.
It's okay.
Thanks. Our team would have gotten second place regardless, so it's fine. Okay, so on number 3, you can actually use u or dv as e or sine x because both of them are neither easier or harder to go backwards and forwards from. Did you guys use e to the x for u?
Yeah.
Sweet. So then I'll do. Wait. Well, majority rule. Sorry, Eli. We're using the x as u.
I did
But you will still get the same thing.
I did the rule thing on number 3.
Oh, I got you. Yes, you can't use the shortcut until number 5. And sadly, it's just because e to the x and sine x never go to 0, so you can only use that thing when it goes to 0.
I tried to use that rule, but then I stopped, and then I got the right answer.
I gotcha. Everybody, what's du if u dx?
dx, d to the x.
Nice. And then backwards from sine x is,
Negative cosine x.
yeah. Oh, and everybody, I will throw out there, if you're like me and have been on like 18,000 Zoom, Google Hangout meetings in the last week, if there's one that you have already and you have the right answer and you want to like tune me out and mute yourself and go do something else, I'm not offended. Okay, I've been on enough meetings right now where I've not actually been useful that it's ridiculous. So just join back in for the ones you need. Okay, so then we do uv minus the integral of b du. Just so you guys know, you will have to have this memorized for the test. You're not going to have Newton's formula or any of the other ones that we used. Like you're going to have those for you, or the logistic one, but you do have to have this one memorized. That's the only one you have to. Okay, so uv would be negative e to the x cosine x. So I'm just putting the negative out front, minus the integral of v du. Which is actually the same thing, but I'm going to pull the negative from the inside to the outside and make it a plus sign. Everybody cool with that? And then I'm going to do the exact same thing, make my u e to the x. We're just going to do the same process one more time. The only thing is that this time dv is cosine x. So what's backwards from cosine?
Sine.
Nice. So then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, the negative e to the x cosine x stays the same. But this thing becomes this guy's uv minus integral of v du. So we have e to the x sine x, and then minus the integral of v du, so e to the x sine x. Now this is where we could just keep going indefinitely, but we really don't want to do that. So do you guys remember the trick that we use on this one?
You set it equal to the original.
Nice. Yeah. So basically you just have to remember that trick. I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's probably going to be one very similar to this on the test. And you just have to remember that trick. So then you've got two of those. Just going to put two of these. Equals negative e to the x cosine x plus e to the x sine x. So then you divide by 2. And your final answer, don't forget your plus c. Some people just forgot their plus c. Everybody feeling pretty good about that?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. Number 3. That was number 3. Just kidding. Number 4. This one, I mean, I'm really proud of you, everybody, because everyone, I think, they're choosing the right thing for u and dv. They realize that you can't have this be your v, so they're going to go, okay, u is ln x and dv is x to the third. It's just that when they get in the middle of their second step, things went wrong. So I'll probably just kind of do this first part. Everybody got 1 over x for the derivative of ln?
Yes.
Cool. And, oh wait, that's supposed to be a squared. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was like,
What?
wait.
I'm concerned.
There we go. What's backwards from x squared?
1/3
1
x.
third x to the third.
Perfect. Yeah, I got ahead of myself. So then uv minus vdu is 1/3 x cubed ln x minus the integral of 1/3 x cubed times 1 over x dx. So this is where everyone, I think, did this right up until here. It's just that there were some mistakes from there. My hint is you can pull the 1/3 out if you want, right, and put it there. But you just have to be careful. Some people were trying to go backwards from these two, like separately or something, or make another UDV, but these just combine, right? What is x to the third times 1 over x?
X squared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So literally right now, if I just copy everything as it is, it's 1/3 x cubed ln x minus, I'll keep the 1/3 on the outside, but just this. And can we go backwards from x squared?
Mhm.
Sure thing. That's also 1/3 x cubed. So your final answer is actually 1/3 x cubed ln x, and then minus 1/9 x to the third, because there's 2 1/3s now, plus c. And number 5, did you guys recognize that that was a shortcut problem?
Yeah.
After I'd like completed the problem.
Dang it, yeah. And it kind of is hidden because of the 2 that's inside the cosine. So I'll just do the shortcut and you guys can double check it. X squared 2x 2 0 cosine 2x, and then these are where you go. This is forwards. This is backwards. Backwards from cosine is sine 2x, but you have to attach a 1/2. Backwards from that's negative cosine, but you have to attach another 1/2, so it's 1/4. And that's what got some people is attaching things. And then backwards from that is negative sine, and you have to attach another 1/4, so it's 1/8. But then you're going to multiply these and have them be positive. Multiply these and have them be negative. I don't know why I put that. And then multiply these and have them be positive. So your final answer is 1/2 x squared sine 2x. But it'd be 2 minuses, so plus, and then 2 times the 4th is 1/2 x cosine 2x. And then 2 times an 8th is a 4th, and there's a minus sign in there, so minus a 4th sine 2x plus c. Any questions on that one now that you guys see the end of it? Nope, doing good. Sweet.
What was
Numbers.
that rule called?
That's a good question, Will. It's called, like I call it the shortcut, but I believe in the book it calls it tabular.
Yes, tabular.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Number 6 I threw in there because the test is coming. This quiz technically wasn't over the Q section, but this is a Q problem. So let's pretend that you guys are taking on the test here in a few days. Is there any hints that anybody has on why you would not use U and DV, but you would use Q?
Why can't you just go backwards
Because
from
it's a-
there?
That's a good question, because there's a product rule.
Would it just take longer?
Well, I mean, actually, here's what you could do if you wanted to take a really long time. Like right now, we can't just go straight backwards because there's a product. So you have to deal with things that are multiplied either by the U to DV thing, which is integration by parts, or the Q substitution.
Wait, so it's not just 1/5 times x cubed plus 3x minus 2 to the 5th plus c?
Yeah, it is.
That is what it is, but it's because when you use Q, it gets rid of that first 3x squared plus 3 thing.
But why can't you do it? I just went backwards from it and I got that.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Sarah, and maybe you'll see where that comes in.
Okay.
Yeah. So right before that, does anybody see why this isn't a good, or why this is a good Q problem instead of UDV?
Because if you use the x to the third part of it as q, the derivative would cancel out with the other part.
Yeah, basically this thing has the derivative and it's right here, right? So if you notice the ones that we just did, like all the other 3 that we did so far, e to the x is not sine's derivative, right? ln x is not x squared's derivative. Like nothing is related by derivative. Whenever something is related by a derivative, then there you go. So here, q is x cubed plus 3x minus 2. dq is then 3x squared plus 3, because that's the derivative of that, with a dx on there. And then do you guys remember how we got to get the dx by itself here?
Divide.
Yeah. And then we have our original is 3x squared plus 3. And then this is q to the 4th, and then times dq over 3x squared plus 3. So Sarah, I'm going to join you back in right here. Do you see what's happening right here?
I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I know how to do this if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, because basically right here, these would cancel, right? And until those cancel and you just have something to the 4th power, like this right here isn't a product or anything, this is what we're allowed to go backwards from and say this.
So how come you can't just know that chain rule was used to get to this?
Oh, I think I see what you're saying. Yeah. If you can do all that in your head, Sarah, then yes, you could do that.
Okay,
Basically-
that was my question. I understand
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so you're good. I was making sure that you just didn't think you could go backwards with like a fourth power all the time. But if you already saw that it was chain rule and you kind of did the substitution in your head, so to speak, then you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. So is everybody good with it? This is the final answer because we put Q back in. Great questions there, peeps. Okay, I think we're going to be able to go through part of the back a little bit faster. The last question I'll spend some time on because it threw some people. Some of them aren't here, but at least didn't have a recording of it. So number 7, part A, I think everybody got, because you're just supposed to. Oh, you didn't? Okay, then let's do that one. Because basically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use an original amount that's your choice. So you could use like 1 gram or something like that. But then half-life just means you've got to use whatever your original amount was, you got to use half of it over here, which is a half. Now, it's actually really kind of crazy is you could actually use whatever you wanted. So you could use like 100 here and then 50 over here. As long as whatever you use, you're cutting in half. Usually, I think when we've been doing it, people want to use 1 and 0.5. So that's what we'll do. Because then the 1's just superfluous. So then you ln both sides. And I'm going to have to look at my work. Well, and you ln and then divide by 1.4. And I got t equals 0.495 years. If people rounded to 0.5 years, that's fine. I'm glad you paused me, Chloe. Is that good for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sweet. So then the second one, part B, everybody, here's the people's only mistake. You can do the same thing and do 1 here, and you're gonna solve this, but a lot of people put 0.91 right here, but it actually, the directions say 91% of it has decayed. So if 91% of it has decayed, what's actually left?
309.
Yes. And then you actually solve this just like you solve the other one. You ln both sides and divide by 1.4. So that was people's only mistake on that one, is you got to use 0.09 instead of 0.91. So you get 1.72 years. While people are writing that down, I'll just put number 8 down here. You were just supposed to plug in everything to this equation. So to kind of like your PERT growth equation. So it's just supposed to look something like this. And you're supposed to get 170,989-ish people. So there's 7 and 8 right together. So here is number 9. Number 9 is the one that gave you 2 points. But everybody, since they give you this right here, this is again where you could go backwards the calculus way, or you can actually know, oh, this turns into essentially the PERT equation, or sometimes we've been using a C here. Basically, they just wanted you, this wasn't a logistic one yet, they wanted you to use this. So on this one, you plug in the original point, which is 300 and 0. And then all this goes to 1, and so you get C equals 300. And then once you have that, you're supposed to plug in the other point, which is 520. And then you're supposed to solve that guy. And I believe you get that K equals 0.2 or 0.255-ish. Something like that. So your final answer, though, would actually be, like, you do all the work to solve for K and C, but what they're asking for is they're actually just for the equation is the final answer. So this should be your final answer there. I kind of rolled through those because a lot of people either were on the right track or had part of it, but we'll spend some time on number 10. But any questions on 7, 8, or 9 before we go to number 10? They're really pleased that like 10A I think is kind of confusing, but I still have a lot of people who did that one right, even if they couldn't do B and C. So that was so they give you this formula right here, which I told you guys you could look at the formulas when you took the quiz. You know, that's totally fine. So
What?
sorry, Will.
When did you say that?
Well, I said it in all my Zoom videos. So feel free to just text me that next time. I know you kind of miss out if you don't see me. That's kind of a downfall.
Oh,
But it's still good to go. No worries.
I didn't know that, but I kind of looked at the equations then anyway.
oh, cheater! Cheater!
Chloe.
I was like, how am I supposed to know this?
That's fair. And I'll to you guys when we do the test. I'll either remake my test so it has the formulas on there, or I'll just, since we might be Zooming, so I can creepily watch you while you take a test. Still unsure about that.
We could all park our cars like 6 feet apart and all get on the hoods of our cars and take the test.
Right. Well, that's how I've thought about how we should do Dairy Queen. We should all go through the Dairy Queen drive-through and then go park in the municipal lot and then park in 2 parking spots away and eat ice cream and be like, DQ.
Can we do that for Lent is over? Gave up sweets for Lent.
That's true. We can do it once over. I'm down with that.
Oh, what?
So this is actually the form dp dt equals kp, and I always have to remember what it is. I believe. Oh man, I always the one that I have memorized. I'll just put this up here and then we can get back to there from here. Is that there's kp on the outside of 1 minus p over m. So I guess that would be kp squared over m.
Yeah.
Right? So the nice thing though is that this is k, right? Which means it's 0.06, or you could say 6%, but I'm just going to leave it as 0.6 because we're going to use that. And then how I did this, if you guys want to know, is I went ahead and said, okay, if k is 0.06, like k over m right now is the 0.0002. But if I plug in k is 0.06, then I can actually just go ahead and like cross multiply and divide and do 0.6 divided by 0.00002, and I get 3,000 for m. I'm gonna have to move some stuff down. Does anybody need me to go over how to get the 3,000 again? Are we feeling okay about that? Okay. So then you've got to go to the equation that's like this, 1 plus ae to the negative kt. So then they basically, this is the initial value problem where they want you to plug in that initial point of 0.8 and just find the formula, which basically just means you need a, really. So you plug in 8 here, you plug in your 3,000 for m because you know that, you plug in everything that you know besides the a. And then this becomes a 1. So it's 1 times a. And then you guys kind of know my little flippy thing here. I just put the 1 plus a up here because I can multiply by it. and I do 3,000 divided by 8 over here, which is 375. And so I've got 1 plus A equals 375, minus 1, and I get A equals 374. So my final answer to this part is the full equation. So it's 3,000 over 1 plus 374 e to the negative 0.06 t. Does anybody need that one more time? And then part C is solving that equation again, but you plug 120, and where do you plug 120 in?
To the P.
Yeah. So I'll have 120 equals the 3,000, 1 plus 374 e to the negative 0.06 t. And then same thing, I went ahead and multiplied by the 1 plus all that, and then I divided by the 120. And I believe that that was 25. No. Yeah. That was 25. And then minus the 1 and got 374 e to the negative 0.06 t equals 24. Divide by 374. Then ln, then divide by negative 0.06. All of that gets you around 45.7. Noah, is that helpful for you? I know you were.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go back this way. Okay, here we are. So let's talk about test options, and then from there, I'll go into the first quiz, just because if anybody doesn't meet the first quiz, then they don't have to stay on here for the duration of it. So here's a tentative plan. And then you guys can tell me what you think. Like I have some other review materials that we could like take several days on. Like I've got an integral packet and a derivative packet for AP stuff. And I have a review assignment for chapter 6. So like if we wanted to give people more time, we could. The other thing that you guys don't know, I mean, granted, there's a lot of optionalness to it, especially if you're not in dual credit, but essentially, if you're wondering about your other classes and how they're going to continue, like things are rolling out on Monday of next week, so like a week from today. So that's kind of like what I'm in the throes in right now. But so I'm almost wondering if it's better to just take this test this week, because then that'll be off your plate if you guys decide to kind of take up the work of some of your other classes, which will start on Monday. And just so you guys know where we are, is we have this test, which is chapter 6. Chapter 7, if we were in school regularly, we would have covered all of it. I usually do during the year, and we take a test on it. But since the last 2 sections aren't on the AP test and they're in Calc 2, I am not going to do them this year because we're at home. So there's only 3 sections in chapter 7. And instead of giving a test, I'm going to give kind of a really big quiz that all reworks on. And then we'll get ready for the final if you're in dual credit. If you're not in dual credit, you will be done as of that moment. You'll take your last quiz. I'll give you some points that boost your grade. You'll be looking good. If you're dual credit, you'll take that dual credit exam through KC. And then if you're an AP person, then we would have knocked out dual credit and everyone else. And then just the AP people review for the AP test after that. So we're going to take it in shifts. But with that being said, it almost makes more sense to go ahead and test this week. And so my thought was, I give you guys the review assignments from the book maybe today. I can just post those online. And if you don't have your book at home, I can give you an electronic, I'll just take a picture of it. We could do a study session tomorrow sometime if it worked for people, like really anytime during the day. We could just set a time. I could even email it out today and be like, just so it's, you 6 would probably have kind of a little bit higher of a say because you're on the Zoom call, but everybody else could kind of weigh in and see when that worked. We could have just like it'd probably end up being about an hour-long Zoom session where we just do problems, kind of like I would do a study session, right, to help you feel ready, feel prepared. And then Wednesday morning is when I actually hear from KC what they want to do with tests. And what they've been leaning towards from what I've heard is that you just like Zoom call your class and then I creepily like watch you like just to make sure you're not like looking up something. I'm really not that concerned about that, but especially if they have like requirements that we need to meet. Potentially I wouldn't be able to put all the things in place by Wednesday afternoon if they ask for extra stuff, but at the same time, I think they're more concerned with the final exam than they are the test, if that makes sense. You know, I think they're more concerned with that. So my plan would just be to put whatever I can in place that they say to put in place for that test, and we take it on Wednesday. And then you guys would have the rest of the week off, and we'd start into the last 3 sections next week. So I don't know, what about that plan sounds good? Does it sound bad? What are you guys' thoughts?
Sounds fine.
I think it sounds good.
With this timeline, do you have a guesstimate about like when things will be ending?
That is a good question. My goal will be when we come back from Easter, so that Monday when we start in, I'm going to launch in and do about, a section every 2 days like I've normally been doing. So we have 3 sections to cover. So we'll do chapter 7, section 1 on Monday, Tuesday, section 2 on Wednesday, Thursday, section 3 on Friday, Monday, and then probably kind of have a review catch all day on that Tuesday, and then a big quiz on that Wednesday, and kind of a rework day maybe after that, and then non-dual credit people would be done. And we get dual credit people. Yeah, let me look at a calendar. That might be helpful.
Yeah, I've been trying to follow, but if I'm right, I think it's the April 23rd is when that'd be like the rework day for that big quiz.
I think so. Yeah, let me look here. Okay, yeah, so this is the 6th. So yeah, next week would be the beginning of chapter 7, and then we would aim to take a quiz on Wednesday the 22nd. And if you were a non-dual credit person, that would be your last day of calculus is Wednesday the 22nd, because you take that quiz and you don't even have to do reworks on it if you're not a dual credit person. Sarah, just so you know, they have been emailing me back and forth about you, but they haven't gotten me connected with the right person. But I did email and they're kind of trying to figure it out. So, and then if you are a dual credit person, what we'll probably do is we will do quiz reworks that Thursday, the 23rd, and then probably study for the final, like the Friday the 24th and Monday the 27th, maybe even Tuesday the 28th, and probably take the final around the 29th or 30th, right? The last couple of days then of April. So we'll wrap up regular calculus by then, which is great because AP people, you probably already know this, but they scheduled your test for May 12th. So then that would be great for everyone else. Then I'll drop off then, and then those 5 people that I have for the AP test will AP it out for the next 10 days. We'll do some packets, we'll do some review, and then we'll get you ready for that.
Wait, so is summer break just gonna start May 1st?
For this class, yes. Because we moved ahead a little bit earlier than everybody else, if that makes sense. So some of your other classes may still be continuing, but as far as calculus goes, calculus dual credit will be ending May 1st.
So